Hello, I'm Leo Tupas from Dell EMC's Data Protection Solutions Group. Today I'm going to show you PowerProtect Data Manager's simplicity and efficiency in protecting your VMware environment. So in this demo, I'm going to be showing various aspects of PowerProtect's capabilities to protect VMware environment. But before that, let me share with you the environment, the demo environment which I am working on. So it's comprised of PowerProtect Data Manager VM instance, a vCenter, a group of ESX servers, Data Domain Virtual Edition as a target storage, and other supporting virtual machines as clients. And this is the list of all the use cases that we are going to be showing you. Okay, so let's start our demo proper. First on our list is to show you how simple and how easy it is to integrate PPDM with vCenter and Discover assets. So in this demo, first thing we need to do, of course, is to log in with our administrator as defined in PPDM. And then the first thing you'll see is the dashboard. So this is the dashboard that summarizes the health, the capacities, the events, the jobs that are defined within the console, within the system, and shows you an overview of the configuration and what's happening in your system overall. So our goal is to add vCenter. But before that, we should add a credential. Credential is like for authentication to vCenter. So let us add a vCenter. So let's type the vCenter administrator username and password so that we can connect. As you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the ultimate administrator. We can define an administrator with sufficient rights to do the activities for vCenter or VMware backup. So we save this credential because we're gonna use this later when we add the vCenter. So let's now go add that vCenter. So let us type the IP address or fully qualified domain name, give it a name, use a default port, and now from the drop-in host credentials menu, select the one previously defined. So we select that one, and then we validate or verify if the credentials are proper and correct, and then the default schedule for discovery of all the assets within that vCenter happens at 2 a.m. So after verification, we save that credential, and then discovery will run the next the nearest time from this time to 2 a.m. until 2 a.m. But since for this purpose of this demo, let us do the discovery manually. So let us click on discover so that we could have the assets within that vCenter discovered. And after a while, so it will show you among the list or the virtual machines in the assets menu are the virtual machines for the BC09, right? So in this case, so let us filter it further. So I am looking only for those with words or keywords BC-09. So in this case, it selected all those VMs for vCenter 09.bcov.local. So this is the search within the assets context, right? So but if you want to do a global search, we can also do so from the top right menu. Let us put the same keyword. So as you can see, it was able to determine or search for virtual machines, that is 16 in this case, and a number of alerts related to that keyword. So that system 2. So in this demo, I showed you how easy, how simple it is to add or integrate vCenter with PPDM. And this ends our demo, so I log off for the moment. Let us now do the dynamic filters and tags. So as you know, dynamic filters have wide uses in a VMware environment. You can use it not only for backup, but also for other automation tasks. So in this case, the purpose is backup. We're gonna need to assign a tag to a VM so that later on we can create a dynamic policy that will automatically select this VM in the policy, in a certain policies, no, so that it can be run automatically. So in this case, let us have select BC7-01, a Linux virtual machine, and let's see what tags has been assigned to it. So from vCenter, you can already see that there are two tags assigned, PPDM with category of protection system is PPDM. The protection class is bronze. No? So we can assign or change that protection class as needed. No? So in this case, these are the available tags previously defined or predefined in the system, in the vCenter. So in this case, let us assign a gold or backup tag in this, so that and also a gold tag, so that we can apply appropriate standard for backup. So assigning a tag is putting a hint or association to a certain match, right? So you can see in this vCenter view that there are now two tags, backup and gold, with certain category. So let us now go to PowerProtect Data Manager by logging in within the PPDM, and now go to our protection menu so that we can look at the policies defined and assign filters later. No? So in this case, we are interested in this menu. No? So we go to protection policy so that we can edit an existing defined policy like VM Gold 30 days. So editing that will show, I just go next, so to show more details. So it's doing indexing for VM. So when you do VM backup, it does file level search, indexing for file level search and restore. So moving forward, as you can see, there are no assets yet associated with this policy, but let us not forgo adding assets manually, because we're gonna do dynamic assets primarily, specifically. So going to the schedule section or pane, we can see that there are two jobs in this workflow. So the primary job is to back up every day, retain for 30 days into DDBE-03. And afterwards, do another job called replicate, but this time save it in another data domain. So that is the beauty of this policy, of PPDM policy. You can do many jobs in a workflow. So click next. As you can see here, there are no assets associated with this policy. So we, after reviewing this policy, we save it for now. So finish, click finish, and then click OK. So that policy will be saved, and whatever changes you do will be applied. But in this case, there are none. No? So we now go to dynamic filters, and then edit a previously defined filter, and let us put the appropriate tags, no? Match tag. So let us edit the VM Gold 30-day based on this VM Gold 30-day policy that dynamic filter is associated to. So what we do is that in here there are different ways to match. You have many different ways to create like somehow matching based on queries, right? So earlier we assigned tags to VM, so logically the task to do is assign a VM tag and then select the appropriate tag that should be matched when when this dynamic policy rule runs, right? So I select gold because that is one we selected. So as you can see here, there are two members now, but we saved that one, and then was able to detect two new BMs, and dynamically that could be assigned later to the policy when it runs. So that's how easy it is to create VMware tags and correspondingly assign those tags in dynamic rules so that there is automated membership with the policies you create, no? So you don't really need to manually add new BMs whenever there are new BMs that are being defined every day. So that is what you call hands-free backup automation. So I log out for now and proceed to the next laboratory or our demo. Okay, so let us now proceed to the next demo, simple data mover management, otherwise called the virtual proxy management for protecting virtual machines. So let us log in to PowerProtect Data Manager again and show how to administer, or how do we deploy proxies, no, that is used for protecting virtual machines. You can look first at the versions of our PPDM. We are currently at 19.3.0.07. So we are to deploy vProxy at a newer version. So let us first go into our asset sources. So in this case, so I have to add, of course, a vCenter. Before I can protect virtual machines, of course, I have to add vCenter and save it as we did earlier, right? So once you add the vCenter, you can discover that or let the schedule run so that the virtual machines can be discovered. So when that runs, so we have that vCenter added properly in our case. So we have here assets that were discovered based on the discovery job that happened. So you have this BC9 vCenter VMs. So that is a success. Adding the virtual machine was a success. Let us now add protection engines or the proxy VMs that will take care of backing up this virtual machine. So we add them from this menu, protection engines. We click add and then give it a name, assign IP address, and of course the related gateway, DNS, of course the vCenter to deploy to, the specific host cluster to host it to, the data center and VM network, and then the transport mode, whether hot add or NVD. So as you know, these are the two common methods for transport. So let us prepare hot add, which is the fastest way, since the proximity of the proxy is near the VMs. Whenever possible, it will do hot add. So let us save that. It will do it for the next for the other one, like for the proxy 2. So in this case, we have deployed two proxies and it was deployed successfully. So after it was added, let us now go to vCenter to validate. So let us log in to the vCenter using an administrator, and from the virtual machine point of view, we can see that the two proxies were actually added. Okay, so let us go back to PowerProtect Data Manager, and then this time we are going to upgrade the proxies or the protection engines for virtual machines. So from this menu, from the settings, I click on upgrade, select the previously uploaded image 19.4.0.10, click on upgrade. So it will apply the upgrade. It'll do the upgrade process. No? And then, as you notice here, so upgrade happens. So that allows easier management of or deployment of protection engines or Proxy for protecting virtual machines. At the same time, ease of upgrade as well. So that ends this section. So I'm logging out. Going back to the main menu, we're gonna proceed to the next demo, which log into PowerProtect Data Manager with our appropriate administrator, and let us review the previously defined vCenter. So in this case VC-09. So let's edit to see the properties. You'll notice here there's the name, the IP, the full FQDN, the port, the credentials, and more importantly, you see this button. It is enabled. So that means when this is enabled, it will install from the first instance the plugin, the HTML5 plugin of PPDM to vCenter, so that we can do administration task within vCenter for related to backup or data protection. So let us look into that. So going to vCenter, to vSphere or vSphere client, let us log in with administrator, and then this is the overview. Let us look at a certain VM which has a policy that is already assigned to it. So in this example, BC9-UBU.01 has been associated to a policy named VMware Image Backup Bronze 14 Day, and it was last protected May 7, 10:57 a.m. As you can see here, there are buttons already added to the menu, to the summary section, that allows us to backup and restore. So let us do backup from here. So upon clicking backup, it will invoke the policy that is defined against that virtual machine. It will work. It will eventually be triggered. So once triggered, let us go back to PPDM and go to jobs menu to see the running jobs. No, in this example, it's still running, so it's starting to do the necessary pre-checks and then ultimately proceed to backup. So clicking on that search icon, it will further give us the status. So in this example, it has been completed successfully to 11 p.m. May 7, and the data transferred is 112.5 MB. So let us close this for now. Going back to vSphere administration, you can see now that the last protection copy for this VM has been updated to 11 p.m. as we have done earlier. Okay, before we restore this virtual machine, let us simulate a change or maybe a destruction or corruption. So I'll go to my terminal session and then log in to this, change to this directory, for example, and then I will create a directory. So simulate a change, right? So going there, what I did is that I added a user, Levi, which created its home directory under /home, right? So of course not real world scenario, but still simulating a change, right? So once that is set up, let us now go back to the vSphere client. No? So let us assume that that VM has been destroyed, has been corrupted. Let us resume or restore it to the last known good state. So let's, again, doing restoration from the vSphere client menu. So let us do restore. Choose the copy that you are particularly interested in. So in this case, we only have one. So you click next. And then we have an option to restore the entire VM or individual virtual disk or B disks. So let us restore everything. And then we choose to restore it to the original location and overwrite the files. So we will not do instant access in UVM at this moment. Let us overwrite the existing one. Okay, so we have about 6 GB to restore. So click on restore. It will start the job, and then eventually, let's go back to PowerProtect Data Manager to see the job status. You can see here, a job is running to restore it to its original location, right? And once this restore job is done, let us go back to our console. Let's go back to vSphere. I open the console. Of course, when we restored it, it automatically shut down that VM and then restarted it. No? So I'm reconnecting my console and then restart that session. From here, I go to /home and then I do a list. So in this case, I showed you that the home directory we added earlier is already gone. So that ends my presentation. I'll go to the next one. So going back, we're gonna do the next demo, which is VM Instant Access. So let us log into vSphere client, and then let us as we have done earlier, we have VMs that has been defined or associated with a policy within PowerProtect Data Manager, and we have done backup for it, right, as shown earlier. But this time, let us do another restore, but doing instant access. So in this example, we have the latest as the default, but of course, we can always choose another point-in-time copy as required. So it is not always essential that the latest is the correct version, right? So you may choose from a point in time which one applies to your need. So we select an earlier date, May 7 in this example, and then the purpose is restore entire VM, and precisely use instant access method, and select from here. We can select the vCenter to restore it to, and let us use the same source, the same data center layout, and select a free ESX server appropriately. And then you can even rename it to another unique name to differentiate it from the ones existing. And then you have an option to power it on after restore or recovery, or you can even reconnect to the network or NIC. No? But in this case, let us not connect NIC because the original one is running, right? So let us click next. And this is the summary of the things that will be done and the target restoration location within the data center and vCenter. So let us proceed with the restore process. It will start the job and then run the activity. So you can see here that activity actually reconfigured the virtual machine, and then ultimately it created the NAS data store for us. It registered it into the data center, and along the way restore it eventually and power it on. So that's the thing it did during that restore process. An NFS data store was mounted to this vCenter as a storage for instant access. So you can see here, that's the location, and then that's the capacity. So let us jump directly to the console of that VM so that I can show you, or to that from the VM perspective and the menu, vSphere client menu, so that we can do a console login. So in this example, I log in just to check that it is really working, and then I type date, and it is that date, and then it worked. So we go back to the vSphere client, and then as you can see here, since it becomes a VM, like a regular VM, but of course the data store is an NFS mount point or protection storage, but you can still do other things appropriate to it, like power. You can even rename it, you can do migration, you can even clone and move it to another location, change. So those are the things that you can do. So let us go back to PowerProtect Data Manager and look at the running sessions. From the recovery menu, you can see here there is a running session subsection that will show the mounted the current active instant access sessions. No? So in this case, it is for an asset named as such, and it is exported as live mount and using a data domain or protection storage called DDBE03. And that's how it is currently working. You can even, if you want, you can migrate it to be to the data center or within a data store that is mounted, that is being used by the infrastructure, a real storage, not an NFS. No, you can even migrate or extend the use, no, of that session to more than 7 days. But in this case, we'll just delete it so that because the purpose has been served. So let us delete or end that session, confirm, and then you can go to jobs to monitor the things that it is doing to achieve that task. After mounting, it's unconfiguring the mount point. Then, of course, we go back to the vSphere client, and it shows that the data store is gone, the NFS data, and then see there that it is indeed gone. And so going back to the data center layout, you can see after deleting it, we already have cleaned the inventory from the test instant access virtual machine. And so the next exercise is let us simulate a complete corruption of a VM. So in this case, let us power off that VM first, and then we can delete it. No, you can move, you can even delete. You can delete that VM to simulate failure. So in this screen, you can see that it's already totally gone. So how do we restore it if you do not have a menu to restore it from, right? Because there's no point in this point of view, there is no context for UBU02. So you go to PowerProtect Data Manager, go to Recovery, and then select assets we are particularly interested to restore. So we select BC9 UBU02 and click on or restore. But of course, before restoring the latest copy, we can even check other copies. So you can see here there are 3 copies or 3 versions saved or backup in this case. So we can proceed directly to restoring it, restore as an entire VM, do the instant access, select the data center, vCenter, the ESX target as a host, and then in this case, aside from powering up the VM, I also reconnect the NIC so that I can instantaneously run it. And then the name is the original name. So there's no conflict because I'm restoring the original VM. So when you restore, it will process the job, and then you go to the job menu. You can see status of the job, and you can also look at the running session. So it's still mounting, and eventually it will mount. No? That shows how to do instant access. So the next one is file level recovery. So now we do the file level recovery. Log into PowerProtect Data Manager to show you how we can recover a file or a group of files or directories from a VM backup. So we start with logging into vSphere client. Select the client or the VM that we are particularly interested in restoring files from, right? So in this example, UBU01, since this one has already been backed up, so there are records of previous backups and the policies it is associated to, I can do a file level restore. It's not necessarily that you do the full VM restore, just a file level restore this time. I can choose the default one, the default latest copy, or choose another copy, but I'll choose the latest one. Click next, and then there's a need for administrator account for doing so, but of course you can also use other users. But in the example, I'm choosing a administrator, which is root. And you can also see here that the file level recovery agent will be kept installed when this runs. So while this is running, what it will do is install the file level agent as well, file level recovery agent. And then so now what I'll do next is to mount the backup copy into the system so that we can do the restoration. So we have like a source and target file level recovery. So mount has been so it has been mounted. So let us do the next one. So as you can see here, I can browse from backup the files that I want to restore. So this is the mounted backup copy from the point of view of our vSphere client. So I will restore this log file around 500 KB or MB, and then it will now ask the target location. It could be the original one or location or the alternate folder. So in this case, what I'll do under home, under Levi, I'll create a directory restore 050820, which is a new folder, so that I can easily identify which is which. And then I click next, and then this is the summary of the job that will be done. Only one file will be restored. And then I go back to the console of that VM just to check. So under home, Levi, so I should see, so in this example, while it is not yet finished, I show you that there is no directory there, right? So just a scratch file. So let us go back to PowerProtect Data Manager and inspect the job. So what's happening to the job that we just run? So it is running currently, and then until it's finished. So let's go back to the vSphere console. Let us list what's inside the folder. So upon doing so, you can see here that the restore 0508 has been file or folder has been created, and changing to that directory and doing a list and doing a display or tail showing the last few 10 lines of that file shows that it indeed has a. So that ends this part of the demo, which is a file level recovery capability of PPDM for VM backups. Okay, so the last demo we're gonna do is the ApplicationAware BM Protection or VM data protection for virtual machines that are Windows and have SQL Server in it. So this is another cool feature wherein we can do backup of the virtual machine. You can do the snapshot of the virtual machine, at the same time protect the SQL Server inside in one policy, instead of what normally others are doing, snapshot or protect the VM and create a separate policy or agent for SQL backup. But in this case, we're gonna do it in one workflow. So let us work on BC7-SQL02 virtual machine, which is a SQL Server VM, and assign a tag into it. In this case, we have already assigned app consistent.sql tag, because we're gonna use this tag later in our dynamic policy in PPDM. So that's the use. But since this has been already configured with that activity, that capability before, but let us redo the protection. So since this has been associated with a VM tag, let us now go ahead and define the protection policy for this VM. So in here, what we're gonna do is to create a SQL Server VM protection policy. So let us name it VM app consistent silver 21 days. That is the name for 21 days retention. So for easy notation. So this is a virtual machine. We select what type of data protection will be done against that virtual machine. It could be the normal crash consistent VM as we normally do for normal virtual machines. But for database, VMs with the database such as SQL Server, what we can do is select the application aware so that it will be protected not only from the virtual machine point of view, but also at the application point of view, the SQL Server point of view, so that we can do database backup and transaction log protection and truncation. It also enables self-service backup, and it also installs Dell EMC item point, and it's available for vSphere 6.5, 6.7, and with VMware tools 10. Then of course we have to define the credential for doing the protection, or usually the administrator that has also a SQL Server administrator. So we proceed to the configuration, and we can choose an asset that we want to protect, associate this policy to, but we're gonna do dynamic policy. So let us not populate or select the clients for now. And then this schedule section of the policy shows the workflow, what will be done, what are the different jobs that will be done in this workflow. Primary would be backup, secondary would be replication. Two different data domains, of course, and also different with its own storage unit and the interface to be used and the notation for location so that we know where it goes, right? And you can also see here that it is associated to an SLA. You can also select an SLA for monitoring. But let us not do that for now. Let us click next, and then shows the summary. Save it for now, and then let us create a dynamic filter. So let us add a protection policy dynamic filter. Select the previously created protection policy, give it a name, in this case SQL Server Silver Protection, and then the tags, select field tag and the appropriate tag which we have identified earlier as app consistent, and then we can do apply. So in this case, as you can see, it already matched one, which is SQL 02. So we proceed and finish the definition of the filter. So in this example, we have a filter and associated to a policy. Let us run that so that evaluation will run, and then appropriate actions will be done as required for the policy. So as you know, when you define a policy and you save that or click finish, it will do the configuration of all the clients as required, right? So in this case, we are associating it to a built dynamic filter for SQL servers. Running it will execute the matching of the tags and then make that VM a mem. And then can even check further what will be at the client. Now, so we go back to the remote session, remote console of that client. We can see that the administrators from B Corp are added, and installation from Microsoft Application Agent has been added as well. And in program files, you can see there is a DPS for apps folder. So going back to PPDM, you can also see from the infrastructure down the application agent section that this client has been registered also as an. So going back to web client for vSphere, as you notice in SQL-02 point of view, this protection policy has been associated to it, and then there's no backup copy yet, so we can do the backup now. From this vSphere client menu or console, you can see that the tasks that are being done when we do you can see there the snapshot creation, the invoking of the PowerProtect policy, and also the proxy runs to do the actual backup and configuration, and also the SQL Server protection. And going back to PowerProtect Data Manager, you can also see, going to the jobs menu, you can see the job is running. And until it runs, until it finishes, so we can see it here from the completed menu. So once it's completed and applied for, you can see there the tag, so the date and time wherein that one run. Then going back into WebSphere client and SQL-02, from the SQL-02 VM perspective, we can now see that the last protection copy is recorded, which was earlier as we did as recorded. So once you have a copy, protection copy, you can now do restore. You can even do file level restore. But we will not do that now. We will do the next step. So after backing that VM, let us jump to that console. So we log in using the appropriate administrator. In this case, I'll use administrator user for bcorp, and then run the SQL Server Management Studio as administrator. I will log into this server name, which is a local machine, connect into it. As you can see from this SQL Server Management Studio, a plugin has been installed so that you can do self-service backup. If you notice earlier, we already created the schedule, right? But you can also do application agent self-service backup. So we click on this so that we can back up the databases here. So click on that plugin, and then that gives you a menu for Microsoft App Agent or console for Microsoft App Agent for Application Direct Restore purposes, right? Because we already have done backup. Let us now do test restore. In this example, I'll restore model, and then the selection would be restore it into a file, not a database, not into the database. So I'll create a folder called test restore and restore it in there. So going to the Explorer, I can see that it is still empty. So going back into the console, I run it, and upon successful run, you can see you can also see from here the log, the actions that was done to restore that database. And then when it is done, that is completed, we go to the folder to check if it indeed has the files restored. And it indeed restored the files, which can be used later by the SQL administrator to reconstruct the model database. So, but that is outside this demo. So you can see here that the value of PowerProtect Data Manager in protecting not only regular VMs but also SQL VMs in such a way that these backups are application aware. We also discuss how to easily integrate PPDM with vCenter, do the asset discovery later on, in which we can create policies, dynamic filters by associating tags into it, so that backups data protection becomes automated. So we don't have to add clients or virtual machines to protection policies every time. By just matching it with a tag, and it will automatically do that for you. And another cool feature that we showed is the integration with the vSphere web client. From the vSphere web client, we can do the backup, we can do the restore, we can do the full VM restore, we can even do the instant access restore, which is a cool feature wherein you don't really need to do the normal restore, but mount the backup copy from a certain point in time into your vCenter, data center, and ESX server, so that you can do maybe an emergency restore or testing or maybe development. And ultimately, and also we did the file level recovery from VM backup until SQL, and also the SQL data protection. So that is my demo. I hope you enjoy it. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this demo and you realize how easy and simple and efficient it is to protect your virtual environment hosted on VMware by using PowerProtect Data Manager. For other use cases, for additional demo, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be happy to conduct these activities with you and show you the value of other data protection solutions from Dell EMC. That's all. Good day, good night. Long live, mabuhay. Thank you.